as innovators, we are so like innovation is sexy, tech is sexy,
Web3 is
blockchain
sexy.
is sexy, tokenization is NFT is sexy. Oh my god, crypto is sexy, and we're like, okay, let's do future of work. We want to empower because you're receiving money in proportion to the value that you're creating, but also to enable the work that you are doing in the space.
Yeah.
So money comes in consequence to the work that you're putting out, the love that you're putting out in the space.
Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is special. It is special for you because I bring my co-founder in this episode and we talk about the last 5 years of our entrepreneurial journey. And the episode is fantastic because we are being our most authentic self. We tell what went right, what we were good at, and what didn't go well. And I'll tell you, we've had some really, really painful experiences building companies. So we go deep into that, and we also talk about what we're doing at Footprint IQ. So this is an episode that you must watch, especially if you're looking to start a business, looking to start a startup, and you're in that cusp where you're going to put down your resignation to start. I will say, hold on, watch this episode, and then don't resign. Don't resign, and you'll know why. But still do your startup. Okay, well, first, I'm glad to finally get you out of office. On the Out of Office show, and this is the finale of the 10 episodes, like which I consider season 1. So I'm really glad and happy that you're here. And you're the second guest we're drinking on the show. Love it.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you for the wonderful cocktail.
I'm glad. Okay, so let's get right into the questions and asking and everything. So in general, what happens is the guest who's in front of me, I'm probably meeting them for the second or third time. Or in my life, I've probably met them before and then I have no clue who I'm talking to. Right, and so this question, the questions that I ask is very spurring from my own internal curiosity about what they're doing. But then I see you every day, right? So it's a whole different dynamic here. So of course, the questions that I will be asking you will be very, very deep. It'll be a lot more about things that I don't know. And probably, in the hustle of building businesses, in the hustle of everything that we've done, I didn't have the opportunity to ask. So that's what I will be doing today.
I'm excited.
Okay, awesome. So let's start with something very simple. Michelle, how are you today?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energized.
With the vodka?
I know, with the gin.
Oh yeah, it's gin.
The gin. But no, I think I'm excited. I think it's just a very exciting period. Lots of transformation that's happened over the last few weeks or even months, actually. And I think on the work front, there's been a lot of exciting conversations, a lot of things that have been happening that I'm just generally quite excited about. More than that, I think having to sit here with you and doing this, it's a mix of nervousness and a mix of excitement for what we're going to talk about, but also a lot of that nuanced intimacy that comes out from sharing things that we haven't shared about probably over the last few years. Even though we see each other, we go through it together. And I'm sure it comes from two different perspectives, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's quite exciting for me to witness today and for me to see you witnessing it as well. Yeah, so that's quite interesting.
Perfect. Awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, I probably have already got to shoot the intro to this later, but yeah, this is probably the first time in amongst all the episodes that I've shot and seen of other podcasters that two co-founders are sitting down and talking about their business and the last 5 or 6 years that they've been building. Okay, so let's give some context for everybody and then we go deeper into the question. So we started working on Explore Maps first. Then COVID happened. And then after that, we started a product consulting studio, which is innovative. And then we had a good cash flow running business. Then from there, what we did with the cash flow was take risks after risks after risks. Right? Because we were internally thinking we were Google's. Pointers had lots of learning from there. And now we're at this juncture where we're building a very, very meaningful business called Footprint IQ, in which we will go deeper.
Hey,
right?
but all the business we've been have been meaningful.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm not denying. But I feel like just with Footprint IQ, there is so much more impact on various fronts that we're creating and we will be creating in future. But my question to you here is, which of these following businesses did you enjoy doing the most?
Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to be so cliche with this answer, but I think every business was very exciting and meaningful for me in different ways, in different facets, right? I think with Explore Maps, what started out as passion for travel and a curiosity for the startup space. I think I was telling this to someone recently. In fact, my journey to entrepreneurship didn't start with Explore Maps. I started in primary school when my school had this extra stall which they didn't have any vendor taking up, so they were like, oh, let's give this to students to run. So every week they used to have students bid for that space to do whatever they wanted to do, and me and a few friends bid for a space that week, and then we started selling different things. We started selling like stickers, rubbers. We were like, oh, our classmates enjoy these cute stickers and rubbers, and knowing our classmates and knowing that passion for the cute stuff, and we were ourselves very very drawn to it. We bid for a space and we started selling that, and that kind of sparked my curiosity for business, and it was very enjoyable. And I know over the years I dove deeper into studying and being the good kid, Singaporean kid that I was, did not touch or did not think about business. In fact, I rejected business in university when SMU gave me a law and business degree, and I was like, yeah, no.
No, walao, eh.
I know. I was like, yeah, no, I'm choosing political science instead. Because I don't know, at some stage of my life, I was
It's okay. We all make we all make decisions.
Exactly. I was rebelling against the maritime space. I was rebelling against business, and I was like, what am I going to do with a business degree?
Yeah.
Did not take that up, went to NUS, political science. But even in university, I actually started with selling pastries, cupcake and cakes. So I started baking. It was a passion project, and I was like, I wanted to monetize it because it was something that I was doing. I enjoyed it. People who tried my stuff enjoyed having the stuff that I was like, okay, cool. I would probably become a baker. And during this period of time was when the likes of Fluff Bakery was becoming huge in the space, and social media and Fluff Bakery became huge in the space. So that's why I started. And then I went into fashion in university. So then I started looking at fashion retailing. And this was also a time where Love Bonito and the blog shops of the time were gaining traction. And all these were literally just my passion. And it's something that you'll see even today, right? I'm into all of this stuff. But it was really that passion that I wanted to then bring it to the world. And that's when, after university, of course, getting into corporate space, coming into corporate space, and I was not very fulfilled in my corporate job. And when you were doing Explore Maps, and I saw that online, and I was like, oh, traveling was something that I genuinely enjoyed, having traveled the whole of Europe during NUS. And I was like, okay, let's figure out what Priya's doing. That's when we had the conversation. Priya told me more about External Maps, and that's when I was like, okay, cool, very interesting stuff. And of course, when our initial conversation started, we were talking about what you were looking for in terms of when building Excel maps, what your challenges were at that point of time, where you needed help with. And I think we ended that conversation saying that if you needed more help, feel free to reach out at any point of time. Happy to support, happy to help, happy to be part of the journey. Be part of the journey in any way that you require me to. Fast forward from there, we started then working together. But for me, even with Expo Maps, it was meaningful for me to dive deep into startup rather than the traditional businesses of, let's say, fashion retailing or like F&B.
But you look tech businesses.
Yes, tech businesses, and particularly startup, startup, right? That was a whole new space for me. So it's very meaningful from that point of view to get into the space. And also, what was even more meaningful was for me to dive deeper into brand design and UI UX, things that I picked up over the years very informally. But now having to take that into Expo Maps was so poignant for me. And I think that also then sparked innovative, right? Because I came in from the whole brand design perspective and brought that sort of lens to products. And you came in from the tech perspective. And that magic that it created literally just gave birth to innovative. So that was very meaningful from that perspective. And having grown innovative for 5 years, now that is even more meaningful, right? Because we're now taking our expertise, our skill set, our interest, our passion, and building something that one generated revenue during COVID, which was such a significant
Uncertain,
thing.
crazy time.
Yeah. And also putting that touch to so many products out there that people in the space, even today, when they talk about it and I meet them and they're like, oh, yeah, you both. It's really both of your magic that you can see in the products. And hearing about it even today is so significant and so meaningful for me. So building these two businesses have been just so pivotal that way. So it's very meaningful for me for that too. And then innovative, right? We took this magic and explored different areas. Neon Sundae, Meraki, Footprint IQ, and all of these are in different sort of domains.
Yeah, we'll go into that much more deeper. So Meraki, Neon Sundae, as you were just saying. So we'll go deeper into each of this. We'll look at it from a very business lens, from what we have learned about startups as well. But tell me, what about entrepreneurship in general? So you mentioned your early days and then you rejected entrepreneurship completely and then you came back to it, right? What brought you back to entrepreneurship?
Okay, so for me, entrepreneurship was about creating impact. And I see impact in many different layers and many different facets as well. One, of course, impact for myself, freedom. When I talk about freedom in financial, the ability to not have a, say, salary ceiling, right? The financial impact of entrepreneurship. But more than that, freedom in terms of location of working, freedom in terms of what I'd like to do, achieve, create. Freedom for me to explore and be who I am, because I believe I'm more of we talk about generalist, we talk about a multifaceted entrepreneur, multi-hyphenated entrepreneur. And the beauty of entrepreneurship is that you're not doing the depth, you're doing the breadth. And I think that was what that freedom meant for me. And more than that, freedom to create something that was of the highest impact for society. I know you can, and I'm sure you can create the impact even as an employee in an organization. And a lot of people do. But for me, I think the highest form of impact was really being able to create something and putting it out there in the universe, on Earth. That was essentially
the reason that
I decided to do entrepreneurship, or even forget entrepreneurship, create. Right? And more than that, when we talk about creating businesses, it's also about how many lives you're touching, even in terms of employment, even in terms of what can that product do, right? It's a product of love that you just put it out there. So that was essentially why entrepreneurship. That creating out of love and putting that love out there to touch as many lives as possible in the way I would love to do it and not dictated by an organization. That was essentially what I wanted to do with entrepreneurship.
Awesome. Okay. So from creating impact, from the desire to create more impact and not having a salary ceiling was what got you into entrepreneurship today. Yes. No, I totally resonate with this because I think in my storyline of coming into entrepreneurship, one of it was I was really sick of like the 10-20% hikes that you would get, which is actually, now looking back, not a bad thing.
After all the financial instability of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so it's not a bad thing. It's great for people who have it, but it comes at a cost, and the cost is your time and your freedom. Right. And I think that's the reason why there are so many different creators today, so many people on YouTube making money as well and doing their own businesses. I think that is a big primary motivator. I do feel that, going forward, the universe will be filled with micro businesses solving some really niche problems for bigger society or bigger businesses or society at large.
But caveat being, right, is that I think a lot of times, at least I hope it's changed, but the old models of working in organizations, it's so hierarchical and people are just getting into jobs that they don't love or don't enjoy. They're getting jobs for specific reasons of earning money. Which is not a bad thing because financial stability is good.
You need to start off with that.
But people don't know what they're getting into, right? They just find jobs because like, oh, I need to get a job after university, or I need to get a job. And then they get into this thing and they're not happy. there's a whole idea of what a job is, what I should do, and the reasons of employment that then makes it so like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but nowadays I think people are more into like, okay, I'm going to attune to my joy. I am going to start creating or working in a place where I enjoy working at, doing what I want to do in life. So I know a lot of people who are not even doing university and just jumping straight into like work or entrepreneurship, right? In your roles, creating startups.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's very true. I think in one of the podcasts that I was watching, there was this business coach so he came on Raj Shamani's podcast. If I was not, I don't recall, but yeah, I mean, he was talking about even within business, there are so many things you could do, right? But it is important to do things that are so aligned with your soul. Otherwise, you go crazy. Yeah. And you don't even enjoy the process.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Right. So I think alignment with soul is very important. You could like at one point in time, I think with Sandeep over December, I was thinking, what if we just get coffee makers from China and sell them on Amazon?
Dude, I was literally thinking of this when I was in Bangalore. I was like, you know, like people are doing all this Alibaba stuff.
Yes, Alibaba
and like, you know,
super
just
cheap.
Yeah.
And you can brand it.
And you can brand it. And you know us.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know, I can just start a Instagram page, you know, create a nice story, create aesthetic videos.
In fact, with Neon Sunday, I was thinking about this. You
Meraki as well.
Yeah. So why Neon Sunday, right? I was thinking of Neon Sunday coffee because I love coffee. And these are these beautiful espresso makers. Like it's portable.
Yeah.
And you can make coffee. And you can purchase it at $20 from Alibaba and you can get a batch or one.
80,
and they brand
90,
it out.
100.
And they brand it out. Like you can have the colors of Neon Sunday in it. Like just brand with colors.
I know.
Different colors. And yeah, and you can sell it at $80, $90.
Yeah, exactly.
On
And
Amazon.
there's so many like, oh my God, unique designs today.
Yeah.
Like, and you can always bundle it so many different ways, right? Coffee with cups, coffee with something. And there's just so much opportunities for that. And it's, people are doing that today and just easily earning money because that's something that they really enjoy doing. It's their passion. It's something that they truly love. And the whole process of not just doing the operations, which is buying and then selling, but also the content creation that comes with it, that sharing that love out with the world, with the universe, that makes the whole process so easy, seamless.
Yeah. But I did ask myself the question that, am I going to be able to do this? Not from the point of skills, because I think that's not a very high skill, but we did this in Explore Maps gift shop. But just having boxes, doing inventory, buying and storing, and then that entire process.
Labor intensive.
It's a labor intensive process. And now we would have an international supply chain. So I think thinking about that, I was like, no, we do something easier and more aligned. So speaking about that, let's move into the businesses that we started. So I think we really imbibed the Silicon Valley Google way of doing things. Yeah, like whatever we were earning on innovative, we were trying a new business idea, a product idea. And we started off with Meraki, then we did Neon Sundae. I didn't miss out anything else, right? I think it's just
Meraki and Neon Sundae.
Meraki and Neon Sundae. In between, there were different small internal product ideas, but probably our employees had told us of. But yeah, so I think these two. So let's and then now we're doing Footprint IQ, but let's try to dissect a little bit and go deeper into what Meraki was and what and of course we're not working on it right now, right? But there was something that didn't work in the business. So I think for the entrepreneurs out there, it would be helpful for us to very authentically share what worked and what didn't work from our opinion, right? So let's start with Meraki. Okay. Explain Meraki in one sentence for everyone, and then we can go down. Yeah.
Meraki was a marketplace for home businesses, for creators who wanted to create from their heart and then put it out in the world.
So it was helping home businesses specifically. Right?
Yeah, marketplace for them.
Yeah.
Right. The goal was to, one, give them an avenue for visibility to the mass market, and two, allow them to reach their target audience faster. Yeah. Basically. And three, give them the tools to then be able to carry out their operations faster, efficiently, easier, seamlessly. Yeah, essentially that was Meraki.
Okay. Now we built the product and the product had the opportunity for you to list your products, for people to search for the products, and then it just like a marketplace. And what was also interesting was that we had an order management system tied to that product itself. You could see when your product is getting ready, when it's going to get shipped to you, and you could also chat with the business on a specific product. And who were the competitors at that point in time? I mean, we started this in 2021.
Okay, our competitors were definitely the likes of Etsy and Shopify.
Etsy, I put money on it when I was doing a Meraki.
Really?
I bought the shares. Anyway, go on.
Excuse you.
What?
No, I'm joking. But no,
Supporting women businesses.
our competitors were literally Etsy and Shopify, and the likes of even, let's say, Wix, Squarespace.
I think indirect would also be Instagram shop. So that thing they had at that point
Instagram
started.
because that was
And
essentially
Instagram.
Yeah, that no. In fact, our problem statement stemmed from there, right? Because home-based businesses were all one on Instagram. They were trying to market it on Instagram. They were trying to use the chat functions on Instagram, and then they had their own either Facebook groups or Facebook pages again. Basically meta ecosystem, and then they might have had a website, or they might not have.
Mostly they didn't.
Mostly they didn't, and they were taking orders to WhatsApp. So it was a very fractionalized, or rather fractional sort of operations, which was quite frustrating for home-based businesses. And also now they're fighting with the likes of all the content that's out there and the bigger brands, and they're fighting for visibility. So how do you as a consumer find businesses like that, and how do you as a business then able to capture the attention of all these consumers or personas, right? Your audience. So it was hard. And that was essentially the problem statement that we started off with. Yes, you have all these systems out there or platforms out there, but it was not the easiest of platforms to do your business.
Correct. Like if you look at Grab or you look at Food Panda in Singapore specifically, they were also charging a lot to be able to list their products, and I don't think food businesses would have that margin.
But also with the likes of Food Panda and Grab, it was very established restaurants, right? It was about, okay, I'm hungry right now, I'm going to go and Grab or Food Panda to buy food right now. Right? It was food establishments, it was buy now on demand sort of model. But with home businesses, it's not the same. It's not buy now, get now. It was more of either pre-order or I purchase and get it delivered at a later date because you need time for that production to happen or for that delivery of the batches. So it's not the same in terms of like Food Panda and Grab. So that model didn't work out for the home-based businesses. And a lot of times home-based businesses is not just food. And I think we've seen it, right? You have guys who are doing crocheting, candle making.
The whole variety. It was not just food.
Wine, kombucha. Yes. Kombucha is food.
Okay. So we had a good product. We even had initial initial home businesses. I think we had about 100.
Traction,
we had about 100 home businesses on the product. What didn't work, according to you?
That's a good question. Okay, caveat being here, and this is something that I've recognized after a lot of introspection and reflection. We are product people, which is
the big problem as well as the good thing.
Both of us are product people in different ways, right? You come from a product technical. I come from a product
user and
marketing design aspect, but more of the product marketing, product sales product perspective, which means that I understand a bit more of the, let's say for Meraki, the market, the audience profile, the users, and then I give you the idea of like, okay, these are the features that work best for these businesses or users and stuff like that. But we're both inherently very product people, which is why also with Innovative, we are always finding product ideas to build. Anyway, having said that, I want to say what failed or what didn't work out. I think our focus was a lot on building a great product for our users. And in that process of being so product focused, we lost sight of the other aspects of building a business, especially for a B2C business, right? Which is marketing,
customer success.
I wouldn't say customer success because that's so many different layers, right? Customer success, specifically the likes of marketing, community building, especially for a B2C, storytelling. We wanted to get a product out first before doing all of that. rather than doing it, say, concurrently.
Yeah.
Or before, exactly. For a likes of a B2C product, the likes of Meraki specifically, the story of Meraki and the community of Meraki would essentially allow for the success of it. Bring in the users that would then allow for the revenue generation
to happen. Yeah.
to happen.
So I feel like I agree. Any B2C business today needs to have either a community or market or some space that already has your attention. Right? I think that attention that I'm talking about is a very generic term, but it can come in different forms. But community being one of the ways to capture that attention or resonance.
Marketing
maybe.
first approach.
Yes.
Essentially, because yes, we had the businesses that came on our platform. Right. Because being a marketplace, you need to have two sides of it. We had the business, we had the supply. We didn't have the demand because we didn't do the marketing.
That's the chicken egg problem.
Chicken egg problem. And with a marketplace and a B2C business, that's so crucial, right?
Okay, so I think we have solved a very big solution. When people ask in a marketplace, chicken and egg, what do you go for first? The answer is very simple.
Very simple.
Community first.
No, your audience,
or audience first.
Your supply first.
Yeah. Not supplier.
Your demand, sorry. Demand.
The demand first.
Yeah, the demand first. Your buyers first.
Yeah. I mean, work with maybe one or two suppliers. You don't even need a platform, but you need the engagement of that community or that audience first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or rather,
or a very simplistic platform is as long as something that works to deliver the promise that you're promising.
Yes, absolutely. But more than that, it's really capture the attention of the people who are buying.
Yeah.
Right? Capture attention, how storytelling, emotional resonance. Because people are inherently emotional buyers. We buy because we resonate with a product, with a brand, a story, the genesis of it, or the products they're using to create it, or what it stands for.
Yeah.
And that's how we purchase, right? I'm sure with the likes of, say, I'm trying to give an example here, but coffee as well. I'm sure you're not going to buy any coffee out there. Maybe sometimes when you're desperate, you'll be like, yeah, okay, I'll get this coffee. But even when you go out there and you have like 10 coffee brands to choose from, you're going to, one, buy from a coffee that you like the taste. But more than that, okay, this brand is something that you probably resonate with. They are working with farmers from, say, Peru who are sustainable. I mean, sometimes, right? Like
it
people
depends.
have
I feel
layers
like
of purchasing decisions.
Yeah, this resonance that you were mentioning, I feel like that is very dependent on the culture of the person, dependent on what that person has experienced.
The layers.
And the different layers, right? A coffee connoisseur, yes, agree. Or a person who is from a very sustainability mindset, a word, right? Maybe a coffee connoisseur doesn't mind that, but as long as the taste is good or the acid profile and all those things are right, right? So that's, or it could just be somebody who wants to stay awake. And then in that case,
right?
Yeah.
So that's where now you have your different personas of your audience, your target audiences, and which is why there's so many, or there's a range of different brands in the space where you're just serving the mass market, people who just want to stay awake, versus very, very curated niche coffee from, let's say, like the likes of Prefer, sustainable, very niche, and they have a mission. They are changing the world with the practices that farmers take, things like that. So there's a whole range, and that's why different brands, and this is the reason why different brands can still come out today.
And be unique
still. Because they have their own unique story, they have the unique target audience that they work with, and it's all about the brand story.
Yeah. No, very true. To add to that, I also feel like while marketplaces are amazing to have, I think it makes the marketplace, especially for this kind of business, a home-based business, I thought the problem also lay in delivery. And delivery systems. So I'm not saying that a startup has to figure out delivery in the beginning, but at least have like a way to offer that to your supplier side. Of course, starting, I definitely think having that audience already hooked onto your brand and your resonance. For any B2C business, I feel today, I think that would be ideal to do. Get that. Then after that, slowly build the product to start delivering this and continuing to build the trust of the customer. And then eventually when you're building your supplier and your supplier layer, so your vendors, having a delivery component will definitely make it so much more.
Yeah, but you see, like we are so, I mean, caveat being that we are talking about the Singapore system or Singapore logistics system
Anywhere.
or Singapore.
Anywhere,
Right?
I would
Because
say.
there are other places where delivery works a lot more seamlessly in a sense that you still have delivery partners who are able to do cheap, fast delivery because of the space they're in. India, Indonesia, other, say, Southeast Asian economies as well. But even in the US, delivery is not that bad. It works.
But you
to
need to
some
still work with the
extent.
partner to do
No,
it.
absolutely.
Either the
Absolutely.
supplier works with it, or
Absolutely.
that can be another additional revenue model when you
Absolutely.
offer delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's Meraki.
That's Meraki.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think the fact that, we were a product consulting firm kept us very narrow on building good products. So I think this is a challenge that every consulting firm will face, right? Because it's in your day-to-day business, and your day-to-day bread and butter comes from product building. So
But I
it's
think
hard.
more than that also, I think it was a makeup of our organization culture.
Yeah.
I think, and part of it, very honestly, was me not pushing more on the creative front. That's a reflection that I made, introspection that I've made over the last few months. That in the process of building, say, Meraki and later on even Neon Sundae, that I did not push more creatively. And when I talk about
What do you mean by creatively?
marketing, more creative campaigns, because we were one operating on very tight budgets,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's been our story.
Let's not forget that, guys. That was the main thing underlying everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a tight budget to work with.
We have a tight budget to work with. And a lot of times, when you have a tight budget to work with and there are not too many creative people on the team, what happens is that it stifles a bit of the creativity because one, you're operating from a space of lack. And we can talk about this at earlier stage. You're operating from a space of like, I don't have enough funds to invest in marketing.
Yeah.
Or what do I do to get to revenue faster? And you don't think about marketing, you think about product. If I build a product, I get my users faster, I can then get revenue faster. A lot of decisions were made in terms of that mindset.
Yeah.
So I was personally not able to think more creatively or be able to express myself more creatively or push for more creative decisions, like marketing. We of course changed that a little bit with Neon Sunday, and we did move more
I think
towards
we
that.
did a whole big notch. So let's come to Neon Sunday now that we're here. Yeah. So I think with Neon Sunday, we definitely made so
Gave us
much more
space,
improvements.
yes, to do that.
Go on.
Yeah, so we gave ourselves a lot more space to be more creative because I think what helped was that we saw the Web3 space being a lot more out there, right? A lot more bold. And with our brand, the Neon Sunday brand itself was so bold as a brand. You were like colorful. We were meant to be the future of something. So we were futuristic. And that gave us a lot more confidence in pursuing more creative ideas with Neon Sunday because we wanted to capture attention. And I think with Neon Sunday, we gave ourselves a liberty to do that, allowed ourselves to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Neon Sunday was many things. It started with something, became something, and then became something. We pivoted many times. So it's hard to really tell what Neon Sunday was in one line, but I'm going to try, and then we'll go deeper into that. So Neon Sunday was started off as very simply an Upwork, a fancy Upwork or a fancy Fiverr on blockchain where you could track atomic task and get paid for a small task that was done. Atomic tasks, programmatic payments based on tasks completed. So we tried to narrate that as project management meets Upwork on the blockchain and a whole bunch of things. Then it became a collaboration suite. And then after that, it became
Collaboration suite.
Collaboration suite was the final thing that we were in. But what happened was we went from B2C, then we went to when we started navigating towards B2B at some point in time. And I think this was my learning here, which I'll come back later. But what was your learning on what happened with Neon Sunday?
Neon Sunday. My learning was that we had a lofty vision, right? That was not really rooted in a proper problem statement that we wanted to solve for.
Yeah.
We, as innovators, we are so like, innovation is sexy, tech is sexy,
Web3 is
blockchain
sexy.
is sexy, tokenization is sexy, NFT is sexy, oh my God, crypto is sexy. And we're like, okay, let's do future of work. We want to empower the gig economy. We want to empower creators by giving them the opportunity to earn Unlike what Fiverr was doing. We wanted them to have the autonomy of the work they did and be able to track that, show that in a more transparent way. Like, oh my God, so much of it.
Big vision. This was literally, in Vikram's word, Wild Wild West.
Exactly. And we were just driven by vision. And driven by vision meaning
need to have a very deep pocket.
Yeah.
That's all it means.
Because we are like Steve Jobs of Web3.
No. I mean, even Apple started with simply making a slightly better, faster, cleaner looking.
Because they started with problem statement. They started they started with the problem statement.
Exactly.
We just started with we want to make future of work sexy.
Sexy.
Literally that. And we were very into the idea of what blockchain can do. Which is fine, which is great. Because as I still believe today, blockchain as a technology, amazing. Has a lot of use cases. Can do so much in the space. But it's not about technology, right?
Yeah.
I think this is a huge learning, and it's not just about technology. Technology as a backend, as an infrastructure, perfect. But there's so much more to building a business than technology. Yeah, so while we were trying to do that, we did not really validate a lot of assumptions. We did not think of actually what problem statement were we solving for and who were we solving for. Because
it changed after some time.
Exactly, because we were trying to find something.
We had a product. I feel like we moved because that traction, even though it was gaining, it was just not gaining fast enough. Yeah. And this was my thought process around that we were getting traction. Again, we had about 100 over users on the platform. We kind of get stuck at this 100 number. But anyway, we had over 100 over users, 100 over users on the platform. We were looking to get more projects onto the platform for them to do. But it was a little clunky that way. The platform, I mean, businesses were going to give tasks. They were not going to give big projects on the platform. Like, that's what we also learned. And then from that learning, what we decided to do was solve the problem of multiple apps today. I don't know how we came to that, but it was really probably analysis paralysis in our head.
Maybe, but also I think because when you talk to so many different customers or users, everyone has different problems that they want to solve for. Someone is like, oh, Notion is not enough for me. I'm using and things. Someone else is like, oh, Fiverr, I can't do my best work. Like, when you talk to so many users, there's just so many ideas out there. And for us, again, because we did not
shut out the noise.
Yes, we did not shut out the noise, and it again comes back to we did not have a solid problem that we were solving for. We had a vision. We knew that ultimately this is what we wanted to do. But we did not come back to fundamentals, one, and did not shut out the noise and have a conviction of what problem we're solving for. And in the case of that, what happens is that, one, you're building a product that is trying to figure out what it's trying to do. You have different features, different things, but there's no solid one value proposition. That
the killer one.
That
this is what we do.
Exactly. There's no solid value proposition that then people are coming to pay you for it. Then you're building on top of. We had a lot of different features that were really nice, which is why we had users coming on board. And they believe in the vision. They believed in what it can do. But there was no like solid value proposition that they were like, oh, I'll leave Notion for Neon Sundae. Or I'll leave Fiverr for Neon Sundae, right? They were still trying to figure out what Neon Sundae was. It's a sexy brand, but what can it do for me? Was a big thing. And in that process of building, and I know at certain point of time we did find the thing that clicked for us for Neon Sundae.
What was that?
I believe it was still the whole Neon Sundae as a collaboration space for creators. Maybe not suite of product, but a collaboration space for creators.
Like
for
creator
creators,
economy.
when I say creator economy, I'm being very broad here, the creator economy idea, by including entrepreneurs there as well in the creator economy. And that's having a very broad definition. Very broad definition. But creator economy, because especially for creators in the blockchain space, they still faced a lot of different challenges in finding gigs, in collaborating with like-minded creators or collaborating with startups who were blockchain based.
What are creators in your definition? Because creator is a very, very big word, and people in different platforms think of this word differently. A creator on YouTube is a video creator or a podcast creator or whatever. A creator on Fiverr, it could be a graphic designer and still call themselves a creator. So what is the definition of the creator in this context with Neon Sundae?
So right now, I'm being broad.
Yeah.
Creators as anyone who produces work.
So it could be a software engineer as well, and that is a creator.
Exactly.
Okay.
You create, or rather, you put out the work that you do out there, right? It could be freelancing.
Yeah.
It could be, again, graphic designer, engineers, video product producers, writers. Creator as a broad definition. Even entrepreneurs who have an idea who are creating a product fall in that bucket right now in this broad definition. And what happened then for us was, again, with a platform like this, you need a lot of funding or revenue to keep it going, right?
Yeah, and these are not revenue first businesses, I would say.
Because you need to build something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be fancy. I think what we started out with and what we've always done was build a fancy product and then get users. But it doesn't have to be fancy. It can be very clunky one as well. It could be a freaking Excel sheet for all that matters of people coming in and giving us, this is the job that I have that I require someone for. It could be a very manual one.
Yeah. It's funny because we've been told from day one of entrepreneurship, don't build the biggest and fanciest product. And we didn't take a lot of time to build it, which was great because we had a great team. We were doing all of this fanciness in like 3 to 4 months tops, but we still made the same mistake.
No, see, again, we are amazing product people. The best thing about us is that we can create something in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Beautiful, functional.
And now with AI even more.
But our team specifically, right? Innovative team, you and me.
Yeah.
We were able to create something in a very short time that is functional, beautiful. That's not our problem. Our problem was, again, as I said, in different businesses, different aspects of it. And that, I think, has been a huge learning curve for both of us, which now in Footprint IQ, it's a lot different. It's so different. Yeah, with Neon Sundae, especially at that point of time, lack of funding, right? Lack of funding or lack of revenue to keep it going. But as I said, it started out with not a coherent or solid problem statement.
Yeah. And I think that is what also led to lack of funding eventually.
Exactly.
Because at least the VCs in this part of the world, and we're in Southeast Asia, they do not really always invest in Wild Wild West ideas.
I think it's not that. Okay, maybe that.
A big portion is that.
But I will not even put it on the VCs because I would actually pin it down on our storytelling. When you don't have a coherent story, you cannot then convince your VCs, right? In any part of the world. And I think this is where Silicon Valley and the West do it so beautifully, is they have a very strong story. And the way they communicate that story is very convincing.
And also, obviously, the material in the story is convincing.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Which is from a solid problem statement,
the
your
data,
passion, data.
Everything that comes into it.
Which then
and
your
traction
VCs,
and everything. Yeah.
And then the other part, of course, as you rightly said, the VCs in this part of the world are a bit more conservative, covers, as compared to, say, VCs
they're
in
more
the Valley.
PE-like.
Yeah, exactly.
Less of VC.
In Valley, they're like, okay, I'll hedge my bets with this great idea. It can happen, it might not happen, but convincing, I'm more innovative, I'm going to invest.
Okay, so now knowing about all of this, let's talk about Footprint IQ. A lot of things have changed in the last more than 1.5 years with Footprint IQ. I think we are a lot more clear, and we have been iterating as well on what our value proposition should be, not on what the problem should be, which is great. So problem statement is the foundation of everything.
We did this right this time. Solid problem statement.
Yeah. Okay, so one word, and I have mentioned Footprint IQ many times in the podcast, but let's hear it from Michelle. What is Footprint IQ?
Okay, to me, Footprint IQ is an intelligence platform that enables manufacturers to make better decisions faster.
What decisions?
It could be anything from energy consumption to operational decisions to also then carbon reduction decisions. Because the basis of all of this is data. How you contextualize data for your use case. Now, as I said, energy reduction or water reduction or waste management depends on how you want to contextualize that data and what data I pull out from where. But it's really being able to take this data and make the decisions faster, more efficiently, better.
What are we doing differently than these other companies out there that is going to help it? So let's talk about carbon accounting solutions or even energy management solutions. What is our big core value proposition here? for everyone else.
I really, really do not like the fact that every time someone talks about carbon, the first thing I think of is carbon accounting.
Yeah, that's
That
the
association,
standard.
oh my God. Because we are not a carbon accounting solution. We, inconsequent to whatever we do, allow for carbon accounting to happen, but we're not a carbon accounting solution.
So
right?
we are an operational intelligence solution that leads to carbon impact.
We are a operational intelligence solution that allows manufacturers to look at carbon intensity and carbon impact.
Yeah.
And then account for it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So here you've been doing a lot of B2B sales, right? And in the past couple of products, other than Innovative, where we did B2B sales, yeah, everything else was B2C. So what is different here that you're doing or you've had to do compared to Meraki and B2C? Yeah.
There's a lot where it overlaps and there's a lot where it differs. And it's very fundamental B2B, B2C, whole different sort of ballgame. With B2B, B2C is simple. You have a product, you put it in your advertising channels, marketing channels, and you build that story, emotional resonance. Consumers directly purchase it, right? With B2B, it's a lot more nuanced. For one, it's not just one person buying your product. You have decision makers of different levels and influences that are so much more larger than, say, a direct to customer product. You are now, as a decision maker, you're going to look at your budgets. You have your stakeholders to think of, and your stakeholders are not just your top stakeholders, but also your internal team stakeholders who also influence the decision making process. So that layer of hierarchy that you go with. Right? In terms of building trust, yes, you build trust with both in terms of B2C, but B2B is a lot more high value in terms of building the trust because now you're investing a larger amount of money for enterprise systems or enterprise softwares. So to build that trust is a lot more crucial because now the person who's making the decision to invest that amount of money in your software, they need to think about the ROI. If they don't get that value and they don't get the ROI, they are essentially burning money. Their ass is going to be on the line. Sorry for the language, but like the ass is going to be on the line. And that impacts their role, their job security. So building that trust is huge for a B2B client, right? So the relationship building, the trust building process is huge. And when we talk about trust building, it's not just like, oh, do I trust this person? They're not just trusting me.
They're trusting the product. They're trusting the value that is coming from it. They're trusting the business and the
exactly
and
because now
else,
if they want to invest in enterprise software, 6 months down the road, is this business or is this software going to stay afloat? What happens if that company goes bust?
Yeah.
What happens to that? Because now, okay, for enterprise software, they take say 6 to 24 months of implementation time. That's a huge amount of time that they're investing in implementation itself. And in that process, if they're investing that much of time plus money, ultimately it's all cost. Is the software going to be alive for the next, say, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? That's a huge aspect or consideration that they have to make. Is this going to give me the value that, or the ROI for the cost or the amount I'm going to invest in the software? Because ultimately with enterprises, it all boils down to financials. And especially for manufacturers, it's about the CapEx.
Yeah.
Right? It's a huge amount of the CapEx. So that trust needs to be there. And that takes time to build as compared to, say, B2C, where they just purchase a product off the marketplace or off the brand, and it's a one-time purchase. It might be a subscription basis, but it's not as, say, high weightage as compared to B2B.
Yeah.
Apart from that, there are so many other aspects. I told you implementation time for, let's say, I'm just talking about software, enterprise software here, right? As compared to other sort of B2B service-based products out there. But these are the aspects that are so different from, say, B2C. Now, even in terms of the sales enablement. And for me, marketing.
What is sales enablement?
So marketing is essentially sales enablement. Marketing is what helps sales to happen in B2B. You're, as I said, now building trust. How do you build trust? Your client or customer needs to understand that you know the space well and you know your product well. They need to understand the product well, and just a person doing outbound sales telling them that, okay, this is the value of the product is not enough. They need to see firsthand. They need to experience your firsthand. And all this marketing that needs to happen to allow for that is a lot more as compared to, or a lot different compared to a B2C product. B2C product, you just have a marketing campaign that shows videos of the product. Good enough, more or less, right? Which is why I see a lot of Instagram marketing for B2C products.
That's more product-led.
Product.
As well.
Yeah. And for your enterprise, your marketing can be the likes of white papers, case studies, blog posts, video marketing, physical marketing in terms of like exhibitions, conferences, etc. Like that whole range of marketing that needs to happen to one, allow for the visibility of your product, to allow for that trust building to happen, to allow for all these sales enablement activities to happen, or as compared to say B2C, right? And that is so crucial for B2B sales. And it needs to happen concurrently. And that's where it also differs for B2C.
So there is an important concept of maintaining cadence in B2B sales. I also learned it on the show, by the way. It's just saying, watch this other episode. But how do we do that in Footprint IQ? How do we prioritize and how do we engage them? I know marketing is from a very external, internal point of view, right? And that is more of like helping you gain not just visibility, even for the people who we are engaging with. For them, it is more like reinforcement learning, whatever you want to say it from ML point of view. But yeah, so reinforcement of the product. But on a one-to-one basis, what do we do for them to gain that trust?
Okay. There's so many factors here because gaining trust is such a multifaceted process. And for me, when I look at it, it starts from the whole sales process, right? Because for now, a founder who's looking at sales or even a salesperson, you first need to understand your process to getting to market, which also includes understanding your customer, right? Understanding your ICP, and then building the systems that will be in place for you to do what you do and follow up on time, things like that. So it starts from the sales process, and there's so many different frameworks for this to happen, right? In the sales, B2B sales, there's the consultative selling, there's the spin selling, there is even the challenger selling. And all of these are different approaches to how you want to approach your customer, how you pitch the product, how you build that trust. Like, for example, challenger selling, right? Is where you challenge the customer, your ICP, to think of it from a different perspective, right? So let's say, to give you an idea or to give you an example, if you talk about manufacturing and they are, say, process heavy, engineering heavy, and not say, or rather the whole idea of carbon reduction, carbon emissions, yes, it's in the periphery, but they're like, oh, it's not regulations, there's no regulations, it's not a big deal for me, it's carbon reduction, my whole enterprise will think of it, and then we'll see. Like, it's a laissez-faire aspect of it. But challenger sort of selling approach tells them that, but your day-to-day operations is really what your carbon reduction or carbon emissions is about. And if you look at your day-to-day operations, you look at your carbon reduction. So that's like you challenging their thought of that operations and carbon reduction is not very interlinked.
Yeah.
So that's the approach, right? So my point being here is that it really depends on the sales process, your sales methodology. And from there, then you build your approach to how you're going to approach the market, go to market, how you approach your ICP. That way, you determine the approach of how you're going to build trust with them. A lot of times in, say, consultative selling, you're giving them a lot of, or value-based selling. You're telling them, you're giving them value, you're providing them the information. And that information that you provide
is helping you build that.
Exactly. Signals to your customer that you know your stuff, you know the market, you know what you're talking about, you know your product, and I can then trust you because you're giving me all this value and information that I can then work or help me in my job to do what I need to do. And that's that approach, right? And that's how you build trust. So there's different facets, and it again depends on the type of person you're dealing with, the type of organization you're dealing with. So it starts from the methodology for me.
Okay. Okay, we've spoken a lot about business
And sales.
and sales. I feel like, ever since we've been doing Footprint IQ and ever since Out of Office show started, the last 3 episodes
All sales.
have been about sales.
Hey, it's
wonderful.
important.
It's the
Yeah.
most important thing.
It's about growing. I mean, your business can't survive if you don't have sales.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, yeah. So, what excites you about building Footprint IQ today?
Okay, so I truly believe you're building a very impactful business. And when I say impactful, again, different layers for impact.
Yeah.
One is I truly believe that we are going to impact the environment in terms of allowing for more meaningful and purposeful sustainability to happen in the space.
Exactly.
Which is why we're not a carbon accounting solution.
Yeah,
because
they
we're not
don't do crap.
Sorry, because we're not just accounting. We are truly going down to operations to allowing them to take the actions
And then check the carbon impact.
yeah, and to reduce the carbon intensity or
eventually.
to allow for the
Yeah.
carbon impact to happen, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're truly empowering and pioneering for sustainability to happen. Not
Yeah.
that it's not happening in space, because I know engineers, the first principles is about sustainability, right? But we're really allowing them to truly do that.
And measure and track and use data to
Yeah.
also further do that.
Yeah. So impact to the environment, huge. We're also building an impactful business to both of us, I believe. Or for me personally, right?
Yeah, same here.
Right? There is so many aspects of this business that I think we've come full circle with, learned our lessons, being able to look at it creatively, look at it from a very user customer perspective, and as well as looking at it from a sustainable business perspective, point of view. And when I talk about sustainable business for us, because I truly believe we're building a sustainable business this time around, but we're also helping businesses to become financially sustainable or more financially sustainable because you're impacting the capex and the opex and the profit lines. So these are why I feel like it's so impactful. Me very personally, in this business, in this role, I'm able to merge my interest in the creative with the marketing side, sales enablement side, with my interests in sales psychology, sales strategy, and product to build something that is really meaningful. So for me, in that personal front, it's so impactful and it comes full circle for me that way. Full circle for me that way to build something that's sustainable.
Yes, I think I resonate with that as well. I think in Footprint IQ, we're definitely making a lot more impact. And I think I was just talking to one of the guests also in this podcast where you can rely on donations and big foundations giving you money to restore things and to restore forests and or even carbon credits. Yes.
Okay.
or if you could tie it back to actually business and value creation, I think it would be such a big win-win. So I think that's what we're doing. We are creating a business that impacts the world positively. And I'm not saying that we're not making money out of it. The whole goal is for not just us, but our people who work with it, the vendors who work with it, everyone to make money while reducing and creating that impact.
Okay, two things that you said here that I absolutely resonate and love, and I want to dive a little bit more deep, and I think this goes into manifestation later, or rather mindset and energies and all later. But one, value creation, right? Truly, I think what we're doing is to allow for value creation to happen in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
When this value creation happens, you're bridging the ecosystem better to allow them to collaborate better, to be able to, one, produce better. Right? I think there's a fundamental shift in the world right now in how we are working, how we are looking at businesses and stuff. There's a lot more sharing of resources because we all, I think at some level, are working towards understanding that it's an abundant universe.
Yeah.
And maybe not for a lot of people, but I think for a significant portion of people, there is that shift that's happening, that abundance in the universe, that we can work together, collaborate together to create better outcomes for different businesses. And I think that's a shift that's happening. So that value creation that we are enabling in the space, right? And I think we've had a lot of discussions about this, that yes, data is a premise, we are putting it on factory floors, but now we are also looking at different aspects of the factory floor that are coming together. Value chain that we're working with to bridge them together, because no business is working in silos today. There's so many businesses that are interconnected. So that's one, right? And we talk about money, earning money. I fundamentally believe that when we talk about money is energy, right? And it's not about earning money. Money comes to you when you create value, when the value creation activities.
It's an output activity. It's not an input activity.
Exactly. And you make money in proportion to the value that you're creating, or I would even say you make money. Money comes to you in proportion to the value that you're creating.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we should change this word. We don't make money. That's such a
Exactly.
wrong
Because
thing, actually.
there's this negative connotation that comes like, oh, you're making money. But okay, fine, you're making money. There's no negative connotation or whatever. But
we're receiving money.
you're receiving money because you're receiving money in proportion to the value that you're creating, but also to enable the work that you are doing in the space.
Yeah.
So money comes in consequence to the work that you're putting out, the love that you're putting out in the space. And every act of service that you're doing, every work that you're putting out, everything that you're doing out of the love for whatever passion that you're putting out, whatever, is bringing that money to allow you to do that.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's where value creation and money as energy is where I see. So you're not making money. Money is coming to you to do what you need to do.
Yeah. I think we're getting rewarded with money. Okay, so let's talk about manifestation and law of attraction and stuff. And I think with most of the guests, again, I am very, other than Snail, I talk about it very very small amounts just to get a sense of where they are with it, and I leave it at that. But I know about you, and I know that you live a very conscious life when it comes to consciously manifesting things, and yeah. So tell me more about this. Tell me of a time, in business, particularly since we're talking about that. Yeah, that you consciously manifested something and it happened.
I think I struggled with this question when you sent that to me. Because sometimes I don't know what is conscious and what is not conscious. Sometimes I don't know if you resonate with this, because sometimes in our day-to-day living, it feels like you're living different realities in different points of time. Oh my God, I'm sounding so deep right now. But so sometimes I don't know what is conscious and unconscious. Because sometimes it just might have been a very quick thought and I would have forgotten about it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it happens and I'm like, oh, is this conscious? Is this unconscious?
Okay. Well, we know that the realities are reflection, and
Exactly.
and any belief that we're holding, thoughts that we're embodying, will show up in different ways.
Reflection of
Yeah. So from there. So maybe it's not a conscious and conscious thing. Let's remove that part of the question.
Yeah, manifestation of a business
Desire.
So I thought that Meraki was a manifestation of a desire. I remember at one point of time when you're doing innovative, and I was like, I want to be able to empower these home-based businesses in the work that they did. And at the point of time, we didn't think of Meraki. We were like, exploring. We were talking about different things. We were doing our own consulting stuff. And then when the idea came in and we started building it, I was like, huh. And when that came out into market, I was like, I actually thought about this at one point of time, like very unconscious, like very broadly and stuff. So that was definitely that. But I think, okay, if I want to have it more granularly or make it more granularly, I remember just like, for example, meetings, right? And I'll be like, okay, I would love to be connected to XYZ client. And out of a blue, someone's like, I'm going to connect you to XYZ client. And I was like,
Yeah.
and that's been like that has happened quite a few times. That has happened quite a few times. And I'm like, manifested it. Powerful manifester. Things like that, right? Small things like that. And I remember also at some point of time thinking about footprint IQ. At some point of time thinking that it'll be so nice that our product has a ChatGPT-like feature for manufacturers and stuff. And I think did not talk about it. Wanted to hear more from, of course, the customers, what they wanted, discovery, all the stuff that's happening. And I think we were talking at one point of time, and then you brought up about like ChatGPT feature, and I was like, thought about it. So like small things like that, but ultimately, it is really boiling down to one, of course, if you're living in alignment to yourself and you're thinking about these things and from a place of joy, from a place of, for lack of a better word, detachment, because you're not attached to it. When you are aligned to that energies and you put that intention out to the universe, it will naturally just manifest for you.
Yeah, because
And
that's the natural state. Yeah, it's not something that we're doing differently.
yeah, it's not, I mean, we can call it magic or stuff, but it's really just you.
No, it's not magic. I suppose.
I would love.
If you call it magic, I call it
Yes.
E is equal to MC squared.
I call it magic because it's just magic. It's just like, huh, I thought about it, it happens. And it's like Harry Potter world, right? Like the intention out, and then you're like, and then it happens. But yeah, so things like that, small things like that, bigger things as well.
I think just to add to this, before we go into the bigger things, so very recently we've had this with one of our customers, and I think both of us before the meeting and whatever, we just wanted the customer to commit to something and something, right? Like I cannot name the customer at this moment. But yeah, and we didn't even start the conversation in that we were just talking about something random, and then yeah, he was just like, hey, you know what? I'm doing this. So this is coming your way. Right? And I think that was fantastic.
Yeah, because I think for us, what we did was we were like, it'll be nice that this happens.
Yeah.
It will give us a feeling of calm and safety and stability.
Yeah.
And also, we have an intention that we would like to further this.
Yeah.
And I think that was our conversation as well, right? And I'm sure maybe I'll speak for myself when I say that. What I did was just bask myself in that feeling of being supported and like, okay, the universe has my back. My clients have my back. They value what we are building. They value what we're doing in the space. They value the product that they're building. They really see the potential in it. And, I am going to just be calm, be in the abundance growth mindset, and do what we are doing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That would move the needle. So just focus on that, right? Just focusing on that, doing our stuff.
I mean, we can only focus on our inputs, right?
Exactly.
That's about it.
Exactly. And I know that was what I was doing. And I'm like, in the back of our heads, we have had this conversation. We're just like, okay, this is our intention. This will be nice.
Yeah.
And when that happened, it's like, yeah. And that has happened for a few things. So it's just very nice.
Okay, we've spoken about it a lot. I've read it a lot. Michelle as a person 5 years back versus Michelle now. What are the three key differences?
Oh my God.
I've asked you so many tough questions.
It's not tough questions. It's just that there's so much that is different. So like three key differences? Hard to say. Okay, definitely mindset. Change in or shift in mindset. And when I specifically say mindset, I'll specifically talk about scarcity, lack mindset versus growth and abundance mindset. That's a huge shift that has happened in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think that happens with a lot of growth, a lot of going through situations, challenges, and a lot of commitment in terms of how do I make my life better, make my businesses better, and become a better person. So that is a huge shift. What else has changed or shifted in the last 5 years? The way I live my life, and that is a consequence of mindset also, but more than that, the way I live my life today, and I think as you know as well, I'm a lot more fitness focused, and that is a way I see of loving myself and my body, bringing more clarity, mental clarity for me. And of course, fitness for me is a lot of different things as well, right? One, of course, is the aesthetics of it. But two, also, I want to be the best state that I'm in. I want to take care of my body. I want to look younger. I want to be able to have a better life, overall holistic health. And I want to be able to be more active. I want to be able to have a better health perspective. Yeah. So just health wise.
And abundance mindset.
Yeah, abundance mindset. And I think that just spans a lot of different things.
Okay, great. So now, I feel like we've been on a very long practical MBA. How do you feel now? Tired, energized?
Now is in this moment in time?
Yeah.
I feel.
I mean, looking back at everything we spoke about, obviously, right? Because 5 years of doing an MBA that
I feel like it's more than an MBA. Like an MBA on a roller coaster.
Of course, practical MBA.
Yeah, honestly, I think as I shared just now, right? Like I think I'm in a state where I am basking in my growth and abundance mindset. So I'm super hopeful. I really believe that there's so much of impact that we're creating. So I'm so happy about it. Energized about this journey that I'm in. I mean, this practical MBA has been such beautiful opportunity because I love the person that I am today. I love the work that we're doing today. I love the people that I'm surrounding myself with today. I mean, life is amazing. Yeah, energized, happy.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Fast forward another 5 years, right? And I believe Out of Office Show by then would have a couple of million followers and views.
Maybe more than couple.
Maybe more. Yeah. So and then I would of course invite you again, and then we will have a sync on what all happened with our YouTube friends. So, in 5 years, what do you think you would have done and achieved? Who would be that Michelle who would be sitting across my couch at that point in time?
I think I would be the Michelle who would have possibly handed over reins of Footprint IQ to a more capable individual who could bring Footprint IQ at that stage to the
Individual?
next level. Individual maybe to my function, right? Or individuals. And I think at that point of time, they can take Footprint IQ at that stage to another level.
Yeah.
And I think that would be so beautiful to witness and to experience.
Yeah, because I think what we're doing now is setting the pace for it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think everyone comes in with their unique skill sets. And I think Footprint IQ is going to grow massively. At that point of time, another skill set would be good to have in the mix to bring that to that level. And we're all collaborating, right? So would be lovely to collaborate with people of that caliber as well to bring that there. And so that would definitely be something that I'm looking forward to. I think apart from that, looking at the person that I've grown into at that point of time, the experiences that I've probably had in even building for IQ or collaborating people in space to build other aspects of things. So that's definitely something that I would be happy to experience in 5 years. And
would already have experienced by
yeah,
5 years.
yeah, already have experienced it in 5 years. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, great. Fantastic. So, with that, we come to the end of the 10th episode of the Out of Office show.
Congratulations.
Right. Thank you so much for coming here, talking and sharing so many things very authentically and deeply. Finally, I think the next season is going to be a lot more about women. Would love to have more women on this couch, so I'm going to try and bring more women onto this couch and talk more about their journeys. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you.